What is up, everyone, and welcome to some more F1 23 My Team Career Mode. We are here in Season 3 for the third round, and we are going to be at the Australian Grand Prix. We're currently racing towards our target of 100 points over the course of this season. We're currently sat with 15, and with that we are 6th in the Constructors' Championship after the first couple of races. The first race we got off to an absolute flyer. We were P3 in the Bahrain Grand Prix after a very strong qualifying and some good reactive strategy during the race. However, in Saudi Arabia, it was back to where we probably belong, I would say, based on the performance index. We're currently sort of 6th or 7th in the performance index, and so we were P11 at the end of the Saudi Arabian Grand Prix. Australia is a track I absolutely love, and I'm hoping that we'll be back into the points today because this is one of my favourite tracks on the calendar. So we will see how it goes and whether we can get a solid result here. I think based on the pace that we've shown so far, I want to get at least sort of top 8 or something like that. Keeping in mind, of course, that we are aiming for that sponsorship bonus. We have to score an average of over 4 points per race. And at the moment, we have scored 15 from our first 2. So we're on course to do that, but we do need to start banging in at least a sort of P8 or a P7 here and there if we want to do that. We do have a number of upgrades which are on the way in the chassis and aero department, which I'm hoping should help us out a little bit. But none of those have arrived yet. I think the first ones are either coming on before or after the Chinese Grand Prix. I can't remember. So they'll either be on for the next race or the one after that. But yeah, none of the ones that we've started doing this season have been put onto the car as of yet. So we've got a little ways to go before we hopefully start making our way up the field, and maybe we can also get that Spec 3 engine facility by the end of the season to hopefully get ourselves even more upgrade potential. Now, we were P4 in practice, which I was honestly very surprised by. I was thinking to myself, we actually had pretty good pace here, and I was pretty optimistic about our chances in qualifying off the back of this. I was thinking to myself, you know, maybe sort of top 5 is even possible. I've had practices that have turned out like that before, and then I've gone on to get pole. Obviously, that was last season, and we are driving pretty much the exact same car as we were towards the end of last season. You know, there was no regulation change, and we didn't really make any upgrades over the winter break, apart from durability ones, which obviously don't really make that much of a difference. So yeah, for all intents and purposes, the car we were driving towards the end of the 2024 season is the same car we're bringing into the start of the 2025 season. And yeah, we're not competitive enough to be sort of fighting for wins at the moment. I would say we don't have the kind of pace we were showing. I think the rest of the cars around us have really started to up their rate of development, especially over the winter. I think a lot of them kind of developed away from us a little bit as we kind of stagnated, as we focused a bit more on durability. But it was necessary, of course, because we had 8 DNFs last season, just myself, not including the ones that Hauger had. I can't remember how many he had in the end. It was a lot less than me, but I still think he had a good chunk of DNFs. So, yeah, durability was a big focus for us for a little bit, but now we're back on focusing on improving our performance. And speaking of performance, let's see, can we perform here in qualifying for the Australian Grand Prix? We are on a used set. No, we aren't. We're on a fresh set of soft compound tyres. Wouldn't make any sense for us to be on a used set for our first flying lap of Q1. It's a 1:16.9 anyway, and I would wager to say we might have to improve on that one a little bit if we want to make it through to Q2. It actually was good enough to see us P10 by the end of the session, so yeah, I spoke a bit too soon, but it's a good job that it was good enough because I only improved by another 10th or so, and that wasn't even good enough to push me up another position. So we finished the first qualifying session in P10, but let's see, for the first time this season, has Hauger made it off the back row? Because that is something that I've been keeping a close eye on over the course of the season so far. He's not really been impressing in qualifying, and once again, it's P21 for Dennis Hauger. He's loving that position so far this season, and it's really not good enough. He needs to get it. Once we've got these upgrades on the car, he needs to be getting into Q2 on a regular basis, or with the rate he's going, I honestly think that I could explore the option of a mid-season swap with someone else, because the performance that he's been showing right now is just not on the level that I've come to expect from Dennis Hauger towards the end of last season. He was getting a lot closer to me, and it just seems like he's falling away again. It's really not what I want to see at all. A used set of soft compound tyres to kick things off here in Q2, and it's a 1:17.1 for our first time, and we will see now on our second flying lap, can we make it through into Q3 in the Australian Grand Prix. We're currently down in P10, but there's a few people crossing the line now who we're a little bit far away from. Russell goes fastest there, as we've now been knocked down into P12, so we do need to find some significant improvement here. With P13, yeah, this needs to be a good lap. Tsunoda's there with a 1:16.8 in P11, so let's see if we can beat him. Albon's now gone faster as well, and someone else has gone faster too, I'm not sure who. But yeah, as we round the final corner, we're up by 0.4. It's a 1:16.6 as we cross the line. Is it good enough to see us through to the following session? No! Wow, what a shock. I was not expecting that at all. I'm pretty sure I made Q3 even in Bahrain. But no, we're out. That's it. It's over for us. We're not through to Q3 for the first time in God knows how long. I can't remember the last time I got knocked out in Q2. It was a really long time ago. But yeah, Magnussen, myself, Tsunoda, Albon, Stroll, and Lawson all eliminated there, joining the likes of Zhou Guanyu, my teammate Hauger, De Vries, of course, Fittipaldi, and the two Hasses of Sargent and Hulkenberg. Yeah, all of us eliminated there in Q2. Goodness me, what a surprise! Both Alpines made it through, so clearly we're struggling at the moment to contend with the Alpines, who arguably, you know, they're about on our level. I think they're a little bit further ahead of us, as are Aston Martin, but really those are the cars I should be fighting with at the moment. And yeah, immensely disappointing performance there not to even make it through to Q3, never mind to be contending further up the field. You know, we qualified P5 in Bahrain, and in the space of 2 races we're not even making it through to Q3. I didn't even feel like I was particularly having an off day, to be honest with you. I was struggling a little bit, but not to the point that I thought it was going to be not making it through to Q3 worthy. So I guess now we're in that awkward position where we're going to have to see if we can make some kind of recovery drive here and work our way back into the points as we get into the Australian Grand Prix.
Welcome to magnificent Melbourne in the Australian sun. This is a fantastic city, and it's a fantastic and slightly revised racetrack. We first raced here in Albert Park back in 1996. It's 3.2 miles, 14 turns now instead of the original 16, part of a larger redevelopment to encourage overtaking. The drivers enjoyed it in 2022. It retains the landmarks, the bumps, the challenge, but there's more opportunity to attack with those 5 corners to the left and the 9 to the right. Let's run you through the driver grid order for today's exciting race. George Russell will begin today's event in pole position, edging out Lando Norris, who'll start from P2. Looking at the rest of today's grid, we have Oscar Piastri, Verstappen, Perez, Bottas, Sainz, Leclerc, Gasly, Ocon, Magnussen, Robinson, Tsunoda, Albon, Stroll, Liam Lawson, Hulkenberg, Fittipaldi, Sargent, Zhou, Hauger, and Nick De Vries rounds off the grid. And with preparations almost complete, let's head down to the track.
Nothing for them to say on this occasion, so I guess I will fill in the blanks. That was a very interesting factoid there about 750 species of reptiles living in Australia. That's a lot of species, you know. That's a big number, but nothing compared to the millions of species of arthropods that there are in the world. But anyway, enough of a biological diversion. Let's get back to talking about Formula 1. Yeah, we're starting P12 here, but we have one thing on our side, and that is these soft compound tyres. I think most people in the top 10 are starting on the mediums, at least the Alpines are. So hopefully, even if Magnussen gets a good start as well, we might be able to jump these 2 Alpines and get up into sort of P9, P10 off the first lap. That's got to be the goal here, I think, is getting past the Alpines. We know very, very well that the AI aren't very good at starting on this game. And so I feel like I should have a very good opportunity to hopefully make my way up the order off the beginning of this race. We will see whether that rings true or not, but one thing's for certain, I need it as the lights come on and the lights go out as we switch to the replay camera here. And, well, I have gotten away well. You can just about see me there in the black and green in the background. And I'm actually putting pressure on the Ferraris there as well, but we are pinched to the inside at the corner, and this is probably going to allow the Ferraris to go back through. 3 wide with the 2 Ferraris there myself. I think I was briefly up into about 7th there, I think. 6th or 7th, something like that. But both of the Ferraris are back through, and now we are fighting with Kevin Magnussen over what I believe is P8. We also jumped Sergio Perez off the start as well, so that was pretty good. But yes, we are through into P8 for the time being, seeing if we can pile some pressure on these Ferraris in front. But yeah, I'm just being hounded by Kevin Magnussen through every single corner, and that is costing me so much time. That is the one thing I find just so immensely frustrating about the modern Formula 1 games, is that the AI never ever give you a break, not for 1 second. They will dive it up the inside at every single conceivable opportunity, which really just puts you in such a difficult position to try and fight with cars in front of you, because you just bleed so much time when you come under pressure from them. Here you can see we're going 3 wide again with one of the Alpines and Perez there. It's just like, man, calm down, bide your time, and overtake me when the opportunity is right, rather than just sending it because you feel like it. You know, it really does frustrate me, because we're already starting to lose touch to Magnussen and the Ferraris in front. You know, probably by the time DRS gets enabled, we're not even going to have DRS at this rate. So yeah, an eventful first lap there, but we are currently running in the points in P9. So we've set out what we achieved to. Now we just have to see if we can hold it. But with a Red Bull chasing behind us, I think it's pretty unlikely that we're going to be able to hold on to this P9 for much longer. So we're going to have to focus bigger picture here and try and keep an eye on the Alpines, as Perez now is going to maybe search for a move here. I'm not sure whether he's going to go for it or not. It looks like he's pretty close, but yeah, decides better of it, surprisingly. We're already 1 second down on Magnussen, so honestly it might be in our best interest to let Perez go here, see if we can get DRS from him on the following lap. Okay, so Perez goes through and we're down into P10, but between you and me, I don't think my race was ever with this guy. He's going to have way too much pace to even really contend with in a Red Bull at the moment. You know, we need to pick our battles strategically, and I think those battles at the moment are Ocon and Gasly, and try and keep them behind for P10. See if we can outscore Alpine. I think they're going to be one of our biggest rivals in the Constructors' Championship this season, unless we can develop at a massively increased rate to where we are now. I think that yeah, it's going to be Alpine and Aston Martin are the 2 teams that we're really going to be fighting with over the course of the season. I think the other 4 might just be a little bit too far ahead, and then obviously the rest of the teams aren't really worth mentioning here. But yeah, here comes Ocon once again. Thinks about pressuring to the inside, but thinks better of it in the end. But now we're coming under pressure from both of them, it seems like, because there is a yellow flag behind. I'm not sure who that's for, but Ocon and Gasly both going for a move, and Gasly trying to go up the inside of his teammate, makes a bit of contact. I almost go into the back of Gasly there. I think we narrowly avoided it, but I was actually curious when we were racing whether we had made contact there or not. The yellow flag behind was for Lance Stroll, who I believe had a spin at turn 1, but he is still going, so no retirements yet as we pick up our first track limits warning. And now the task has to be to try and stay with these Alpines. Both of them overtook me in one fell swoop, and yeah, for all I talk about, you know, my race being with them, I'm now coming under pressure from an AlphaTauri behind of Alex Albon. So yeah, not what I was really anticipating or hoping was going to happen here, but it seems like yes. The teams ahead of us just have a lot more pace than we do right now. Arguably, if Stroll was in the mix here, he would probably be faster than me too. And I think we're just getting to that point where things are starting to settle out a little bit at the moment. And until I get those upgrades on the car, this car does not have the pace to contend with pretty much any car around us. As we're coming under pressure once again from Alex Albon here as we go into this reprofiled corner. Can you even still call it a reprofiled corner when it's been years that we've been racing at this circuit at this point? Maybe not, I don't know. But yeah, I had a career mode save like this once in the past, in Season 3 again, where my car just stagnated, kind of, you know, sort of middling, and we were really struggling to finish higher than P13 in about any race, just because basically there were 6 teams that were always faster than us no matter what we did. And yeah, that was a pretty frustrating time, but eventually once we got some more upgrades on the car, we were able to break through it. So yeah, coming under a lot of pressure from Alex Albon there, and this lap 9, is going to be no exception to that. As you can see, he's actually made his way through and overtaken us for P12 on track, and we've fallen down to P13. But we have to try and stay with him. You know, we don't want to fall even further behind to a rookie, no less. This is Liam Lawson's first season in Formula 1, and it looks like he might be about to try and overtake someone who is a 3-time race winner from last season, and basically the same car that he won those races in too. So yeah, we have to try and close down Albon here if we can. And as we go to the inside, you can see we have made our way back up into P12 ahead of Albon. So yeah, we are going to be boxing at the end of this lap to put on a set of medium compound tyres to go to the end of the race. Maybe a reason why I was struggling so much there was because these tyres were very worn, as it turns out, and by the time we made it to the pit stop phase, they were over 60% worn on at least one of them. I didn't actually check the tyre where I probably should have done, but yeah, that might have explained it slightly. And a few cars here are going to go through, like Tsunoda, Sargent, but generally speaking, I think a few of them are yet to pit. Interestingly, one thing I didn't show you because I didn't really find a sort of good context to fit it into, but Pierre Gasly, I think, had an incident at some point which caused him to pit on lap 10. So yeah, he's probably doing another stop because I think he started on the mediums. In fact, I know he started on the mediums because that was why we thought we might be able to race with him. And yeah, he's on a set of mediums once again. So he should be pitting again. We came out comfortably ahead of Albon there once he pitted as well. And this is Oscar Piastri crashing into the side of Valtteri Bottas, I believe that is. And yeah, that is going to be Piastri's race over. He simply sustained too much damage to continue racing here. And it's going to be disappointing for him because I think the McLarens rather, were actually running in a pretty strong position. So they're going to be fairly disappointed about that, you'd have to say. But hopefully it's not too bad. Anyway, here's why Haas was on my mind. It's because these are this is Nico Hülkenberg and one of the AlphaTauris, I think De Vries behind him there. And Nico Hülkenberg is going to be retiring from the race as well due to a failure this time, rather than like some kind of terminal damage or anything like that. He holds up those cars quite nicely. Pretty much ruins the battle that his teammate Logan Sargent was involved in there with Zhou Guanyu and Lance Stroll, I believe. But yeah, one thing Piastri's DNF did mean is that we are now up into P11, and with Gasly pitting once again to go onto the hard compound tyres to the end of the race, that means that we are going to be up into P10 and in the points, and now we have to try and do everything we can to hold on to this position for as long as we possibly can. He's on the hard compound tyres, which makes me think that this is doable. I was kind of expecting he would go onto the softs for this final stint, but he chose not to. This is Liam Lawson in the Williams, and I think his race is also coming to an end here, unfortunately for him. Yeah, he's just got some kind of mechanical problem. Smoke coming out the back of the engine, and he chooses to park his car conveniently right next to a car park. So, yeah, all's well that ends well for Williams, but no points being scored by the new man Liam Lawson on this occasion. Here comes Pierre Gasly trying to make an overtake on us around the outside. We're going to dive way back up the inside, and yeah, that allows us to stay ahead of him into P10 once again, and we are going to fight tooth and nail with him for this last point. But based on the fact that in 3 laps he managed to catch up 5 seconds to us, I'm going to say that he has enough pace to probably get past us here, unless we do something absolutely spectacular. He's going to be challenging us with the DRS once again. By the time we get to the first corner, he's a full car length in front. I try and dive it back around the outside of him, but I just can't find the braking performance in these 12-lap-old medium tyres. It's not going to happen for us, unfortunately. And yeah, all we can try and do now is stay with him and see if we can re-overtake him over the course of the lap. I think that's about the only option we're going to have here. But with those fresh, hard compound tyres, I think he's just going to have the pace over us a little bit here. You know, his tyres are still very new. They got a lot of pace in them. Mine's starting to go off a little bit. I would imagine at this point they're probably around the 30% mark or so. Maybe 40, something like that. I don't know. Probably not quite as high as 40, but 30 certainly. So yeah, to get ahead of Pierre Gasly here, I think is going to be a bit too tall of an order. You know, I was burning battery there. I was using the DRS, and we ended up going a little bit deep into the chicane there, and that is going to cost us a boatload of time, which means that probably by the time that we get to the start of the next lap and the next DRS zone, we are not going to be within his DRS range anymore. And yeah, that is going to be our chance of scoring points here in Australia out of the window, sadly. I would love to have been in a position to score points here, but unfortunately we just don't seem to have the pace. I pretty much did everything I could. I pushed as hard as I possibly could. You know, we broke away from Tsunoda, from Albon, from all these cars behind, but yeah, in terms of challenging the cars in front, we just couldn't. So I think we ended up naturalizing into the the logical position for us to be in as we make our way onto the final lap of the race, lap 29, and at this point we're just going to try and bring home this P11. We're having, I was going to say, a little bit of a season parallel to Yuki Tsunoda in real life. However, obviously we did finish P3 in the first race, which is not something that Yuki Tsunoda did in Bahrain in 2023. But yeah, in terms of having two 11th place finishes in a row, it's just, you know, me thinking that we were tantalizingly close to the points. However, you know, we did have a DNF from both Gasly and one of the Ferraris, I believe, last race, and then a DNF from Piastri in this race. So we did have an opportunity to take advantage of those, but it wasn't enough, and we are going to cross the line to take P11 for the second race in a row, and hopefully we can improve back to the points in China. You know, it's not the easiest track in the world. We struggled there quite a lot last season, but I'm hoping this season we'll be able to bounce back, at least grab some points, hopefully not fall as low as 14th, and we'll see what we can do.
Another superb Australian Grand Prix comes to an end then, and it's a thoroughly deserved victory. Natalie, fill us in. What was it that helped the team achieve their success today?
Well, they managed their tyres to absolute perfection. A tyre whisperer, in fact. And that is what set them apart.
And I can see the drivers starting to approach the podium for the victory celebrations. A real team victory today. Everyone played their part. Congratulations then to Mercedes, your race winners today.
Well, it is George Russell winning 3 from 3 at the start of the season. 3 races, 3 wins as he chases after championship title number 3. It's written in the stars for George Russell here in Australia, and hopefully he's capable of doing it for the third time in a row, no less, as well, as he is joined by Verstappen and Norris up on the podium, 2 men who I'm sure would not like to see George Russell win another championship because they want to take it all for themselves.
So then, it's time to see how this result affects the Drivers' Championship. That's a positive result for George Russell, who further solidifies his position at the top of the standings. Let's focus on Driver of the Day, Natalie Pinkham. Come on, who do you pick?
Well, there's no question in my mind. It has to go to George Russell. What a performance. He's got every right to be proud of what he accomplished out there today.
Let's move on to the constructors. Mercedes continue to extend their lead. Meanwhile, Ferrari have improved their position. A strong weekend for them as they fight their way towards the top. Been an absolutely wild weekend of Formula One action. I can't wait to see what's next.
Well, in the Constructors' Championship, we do retain P6, and in the Drivers' Championship, I believe we are currently P8 or P9. I can't quite remember, to be honest with you. But the Drivers' Championship is mostly just for that acclaim anyway. Obviously, I want to finish as high as I can there. But yeah, it just... we just have to bide our time, wait for these upgrades to get on the car. Once they start coming through in time for the likes of China and Miami and the races following as well, we're going to get into a natural flow where we're going to be getting faster and faster every race weekend. And I'm hoping, off the back of that, we should be able to start contending once again for sort of top 5s, podiums, or even race wins. The goal this season, as I've said before, is a little bit easier than it has been in previous seasons because I'm only targeting 100 points in the championship, and I think that's going to be a lot nicer than that P6 in the Constructors' Championship. In fact, I think even with 100 points, there is a chance we could finish P6 in the Constructors' Championship if things stay the same as they have been this season. We're in a bit of a transitional year. Obviously, there was no regulation change at the end of last season, which means that teams are starting to work towards the sort of maximum of their potential, I guess you could say. And, well, it's going to be interesting to see whether they have the facilities or not to kind of outdevelop one another. Maybe someone rises through the ranks, I don't know. But what I honestly visualize is I visualize the season kind of staying like this a little bit. I see Red Bull and Mercedes and McLaren and Ferrari being the sort of top dogs. I see myself, Aston Martin and Alpine kind of contending for those final points positions in each race. And, oh wow, you really did see Stroll spin around in the background there. Obviously, I didn't see that in real life, but yeah, that is a thing that did happen to him. And then, yeah, the other positions on the grid, from sort of 15th downwards, I predict will be populated by, you know, your Alpha Tauris, Alfa Romeos, Williams, and Haas's. I think Kevin Magnussen definitely made the right moves at the right time, because Haas were really strong at the beginning of last season, and then they really tailed off towards the end of last season. And now he's currently sat in, I believe, 6th in the Drivers' Championship after some strong performances in that Aston Martin. So yeah, making a really strong move for the championship and for his own career as well. Actually, you know, it's ironic because I think something similar like this happened if you watch my F1 22 career mode. Magnussen did actually move to Aston Martin there as well, and I believe I slated it as the worst career move in the entire career mode because of just how bad it was. He didn't really get any results whatsoever, and then in this game it seems to be the exact opposite so far. You know, it's hard to judge from only 3 races, but it's very interesting. Hauger once again failing to really do anything notable. You know, not really enamored with him at the moment, but hopefully he'll have a good race in China as well. And yeah, well, I mean, hopefully we will too, because God knows we need it at this point. But anyway, that is going to be it for this video. If you enjoyed, please make sure you like and subscribe, and hopefully I will see you in the next one.